On May 13th, as an update, a Volusia County, Florida judge revoked Tammy Lynn Sytch's $227,500 bond, which she previously made after her boyfriend put up his house as collateral. The judge said, Tammy is a threat to the community, and I do not feel that a monitor will protect the community. It is too easy to evade. So since I last spoke to you about Tammy, the toxicology report has come in confirming Sytch was 3.5 times above the Florida state driving limit of 0.08. Her blood also tested positive for presence of cannabis. Police body cam footage also appeared to show Tammy to be heavily under the influence, and an unsealed bottle of vodka was found in a car. In Florida, DUI manslaughter carries a minimum 4-year sentence all the way to 30 years with a maximum $10,000 fine. Sytch has a long history of continuing to drive after receiving DUIs.
I totally agree with that. Totally agree. I met Tammy when she was about 19 in Smoky Mountain wrestling. Nice girl, pretty girl, eager to learn. And then everybody did a conniption fit over Tammy. Of course, she was a young cheerleader type looking girl. Everybody fell in love with her. And then when she got up there with Vince, I think it was a little too much, too soon. And she got to believing that she was worth a hell of a lot more than what she really was. And she made big money for doing something she loved to do anyway. And she got in with the wrong crowd. And some people can argue that maybe she was the wrong crowd herself. And she got used to big money and being treated like a star. So when she got away from WWE, she went back to her own devices, which is Tammy Fitch, and she has been arrested since, I think, 2000. I think 17 times I read. Now, I don't know if that's true or not. And 7 of those are for DUI. Now, and I totally agree with revoking her bond. I totally agree with putting her back in jail, because that's the only way that the community is going to be able to protect itself from Tammy, because she's not going to stop. She's 50 years old. She's 50, and if she hasn't learned her lesson now, she's never going to learn. Because I think jail is more than just to punish somebody. It is actually to keep the citizens safe. And the reason I say that, and I'm so adamant on this, is because in 2012, a 16-year-old granddaughter, Amelia, was killed on the highway by a drunk, doped-up driver who had a rap sheet 15 pages long, had been arrested for DUI and drunken driving and all these things. And he was an accident waiting to happen, as was Tammy. So I have no sympathy for Tammy Sytch. I like her, but if she is going to be such a detriment or actually a danger to every other driver, it could happen to you. It could happen to your daughter, your wife, your sister, anybody, that you're going down the road one day and here comes a drunk driver and just runs into you and kills you. As is what happened to my Amelia, 16 years old, and this guy hit her head on and killed her instantly, which was the only saving grace to her, that she didn't suffer. And he died too later on that day because they tried to give him some drugs for his pain, but he was so high that they couldn't even administer any pain relief to him because he was already he was toxic levels. He was right at that toxic level that he could have died just from the drugs. So there is no sympathy on my part about Tammy. If they give her 10 years, it's 10 years probably well served. They shouldn't have let her out. They shouldn't have been so easy on her by just giving her a fine and taking her license away. And because what good are laws if you're not going to enforce them? Now, the same thing happened to Bill DeMott. His daughter was killed by a drunk driver. And I think she was 18, I think. But still, I don't care what age they are, when they take a member of your family that you love, and there's not a day goes by I don't think about my granddaughter. Not a day. And people ask me sometimes what these are. I got them on both hands. And you never see me without them. And they're just remembrances of my granddaughter. It just says, never forgotten, Amelia. And I wore them all the whole time I was in WWE, wore them every day. And the only reason I change them is because they maybe just get old and they break. And I get some more. I still got some more anyway. But I don't think she should be. And I think somebody said, you may have written, Tammy's a psychopath. If you read and I looked it up, somebody said she's a psychopath, and I was like unaware of what psychopath really means. So I looked it up, and it's a person who is very friendly in social situations till something doesn't suit her, and she can be quick to anger and quick to criticize, and she's prone to violence, and she snaps. And so when she's out driving and she's drunk, she doesn't care. And Bill DeMott, he's calling for her to be taken out of the WWE Hall of Fame. And I didn't like her remark to him. She said, "Oh, Bill DeMott, why don't they take him out of the Hall of Fame?" "Oh yeah, I forgot. He's not in the Hall of Fame." See, a smart ass remark like that didn't get her any sympathy at all. So I think if they give her, and I like Tammy, but not when she's going to act like this. I think they should give her 10 years and let her sit 10 years in jail, and maybe they'll save somebody's life. I hate to be that way because, and after my granddaughter's death, we did a law in Tennessee, it's where I was living then. We did a law, a state law called Amelia's Law, that said if somebody is convicted of drunk driving, they can be monitored by a thermal device. I think they just put it on, and it monitors your blood alcohol content at all times. So if you do start moving, and there'll be a record of it somewhere, and you're drinking, and they can put them back in jail. I think it's in effect now because it didn't go in effect right away because it costs a little money to get that going. But I think it's still in effect. But maybe if they'd have had one on Tammy, I mean, you wouldn't have had that 75-year-old man get killed just sitting there. And unless you're the family of somebody this happens to, always happens to somebody else, not you. But when it happens to you, it changes your whole outlook on it. So Tammy, I wish you'd have got better, but you're 50 years old. And Tammy, I'm talking to you right now. If you don't get it by now, I don't think you're going to get it. So since you're not going to protect yourself, at least let the community protect themselves. So, and as far as a Hall of Fame, I don't care if they keep her in the Hall of Fame or not. Doesn't matter to me. It doesn't affect my Amelia's outcome. Doesn't affect Bill DeMott's, his daughter getting killed. Doesn't affect. So I don't care. You can keep her there if you want to. Just don't let her drive anymore.
Absolutely. There's one more thing I'd like to make mention of, and these are two completely different cases. They're both in the news and they're both combat sports related. Is that Cain Velasquez was not allowed to post a $1 million bond for attempted murder. He ended up shooting the wrong person. And Tammy has killed somebody, and originally she was allowed to get out on less than $250,000 bond until the trial, until it was revoked. I find that so astonishing.
Well, we put lawmakers in state capitals and in Washington to make laws to protect the taxpayers. Now, Tammy might be a taxpayer, but she does a hell of a lot more harm than she does good. She's been arrested 15 times, 7 DUI. And when you get to, I've said this, when you get to age 50 and you don't get it, what's going to make her get it? No, I don't think anything's going to make her get it. So if you're not going to get it put her away to where at least she doesn't become a danger to every other driver on that highway. And that 75-year-old man, my condolences go out to his family, because they're without a grandfather now. And that's not something you can just take back. But just get her out of the way. So, and she needs to be out of the way. She's always had crazy tendencies anyway. She always did crazy stuff. And I don't know if that's wrestling that did it to her, or she had the personality to allow it to happen. I don't know. But all I can say now is I hate the guy got killed, but I'm glad she's, and I totally agree with revoking her bond. She don't give a crap about bond. And the guy will probably thank the court later on, because she would have done something and they would have took that $227,000 from him, even if he had to sell his house. And I can't imagine that the guy would fall so deeply in love with Tammy. Did you see her picture when they arrested her?
Yeah, looked like a dropped pie.
I don't think it looked that good. She looked like death warmed over. And so if she went out and she killed herself, and I said a long time ago, she was an accident just waiting to kill somebody or something, because I knew it was coming, because you can't tempt it and tempt it and tempt it until it finally happens. See, she's claiming now she barely bumped the guy. Oh, crap. It doesn't matter. She broke the law. So
10 miles an hour, she claimed she was driving.
Yeah, that's what I heard. 10 miles an hour. She doesn't even know. And anyway, I hate it happened, but I am not sympathetic with Tammy Sytch's cause at all.